Greetings, fellow songwriters and seekers, and welcome back to Muse and Measure. If you haven't done so yet, please hit the guy in the lotus petal below and subscribe so you can hear all these great questions that your fellow songwriters are asking and that I'm doing my best to answer, but maybe you even have better insights on some of these things, and I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. So here's Tracy from Toronto asking another really kind of deep question. Do you think silence and space in a song can be as spiritually expressive as words? Absolutely. And I love breaks in songs. I love when there's moments of silence where maybe you even think that the song's over, but it's not, but they're expressive. And if you want to hear a master of using silence, just listen to Beethoven, especially late Beethoven. He uses a lot of silence, and you can hear how expressive it is. Just listen to the Ninth Symphony, sit down and listen to it, and just listen to it, and listen for the silences, and listen how he uses it. Another great master, of course, is Miles Davis in the jazz world, of not overplaying, not feeling like every single bar needs to be filled with, acrobatic leaps and jumps, which is something I apologize to any fusion fans. I do like some fusion, and I appreciate the musicianship there, but it's just filled to the brim with notes. And I know that there's a funny scene in the movie Amadeus where the king is complaining that there was just too many notes, and Mozart, of course, is offended by that. So there's no criticism about using too many notes. I mean, there's plenty of people that use it very, very expressively, and it's absolutely incredible what they're doing. But it's definitely a different experience than spaciousness and subtlety and delivering your message in the most simple possible way, and then shutting up and getting out of the way and letting it resonate with your listeners. And if you don't have empty space in your music, there's no space for your listener to digest what you said lyrically or what you were trying to convey musically and hopefully spiritually. There's no resonance there in the underlying awareness or even the mental. Now, sometimes you want this waterfall of imagery, and you want this kind of onslaught on the senses and the imagination to break open. And I know this is kind of a philosophical rift in the spiritual community, especially when psychedelic drugs were brought onto the scene. When Ken Kesey partook in the military tests on acid, and he was like, "Oh my God, I want to turn the whole world on." I kind of divide him and Timothy Leary in two different camps, because Timothy Leary was all about set and setting and kind of quietness and spaciousness and introspection, whereas you look at the acid tests, the Kool-Aid acid tests that they did with the Grateful Dead, that was about having these kind of freakouts and breaking people down, getting them to like the zero level by, forcing a shock to their systems, with this sensory overload. And if you look at psychedelic music at the time and you listen to it, it's not this calm, peaceful, basic awareness type of music. It is very cerebral, and a lot of it is very violent. I guess because they were incredibly violent times as well. But if you look at that in regards to this question, and in regards to spiritual approaches, like what is the most effective for changing people spiritually? Well, which camp are you in? Or do you feel like we need to break people's concepts down and break the way they're thinking down through this onslaught of the senses to where they're just like their brain experiences the sublime because they are fed so much sensory information that their imagination hits its moment where it senses it's a lack, that it's inability to process it all? Or is there some kind of underlying space that you're trying to get them to tie into that is before concepts and before words, before rhythm even? And I think you can have both. You can have a really good song, I think, has both. It has beautiful imagery and a great flow of imagery and sensory experience, but it also has this spaciousness to it where there are moments where you either have time to digest what just happened and make sense of it or process it in some way, or you have moments to just get back to this mindfulness or basic awareness. And this is what happens in meditation, of course. I'm doing a lot of, in my practice right now, I'm doing a lot of meditations where you're contemplating things. So I was contemplating, precious human life, and then I contemplate impermanence. And now I'm on to karma and the interconnectedness of things. And I have all these prescriptions of the things I'm supposed to be thinking about and supposed to be contemplating, but always within the instructions is do a couple minutes of that and then rest in basic awareness. So it's even within the contemplating meditations that I'm doing, and most of the Buddhist path has, you have these sessions, or within these sessions you have these moments where you're just supposed to go back to basic awareness. And I think this is the same true in music. You should be thinking about, okay, I've just delivered a lot of information. There's a lot going on here. How about a moment of silence, or at least a moment where the person's not singing and I'm not delivering new lyrics? And you can do this line by line too. You can have a moment where you have a breath. Now, if you look at the blues, call and response already has this built in. It's not necessarily spaciousness, but what's cool about the blues, which all the music that we're probably into right now comes from the blues. I mean, you look at rock and roll, you look at country music, R&B, soul music, rap and hip hop. All that stuff comes from the blues. And something that's a basic function of the blues is call and response. So you have 8 measures of singing where you're delivering the lyrics, the person singing, and then you have 8 bars of response. Now this comes from, singing on the field, but it's just this dialogue. If you watch a video, or if you go to a black church, especially a Baptist church, the preacher will just say a few words, and then there's a pause in his or her speaking, and the congregants are expected to respond to it. So instead of it just being a lecture, it's a dialogue. So obviously in a recorded song you can't have that, and in live performance a lot of people might not be comfortable shouting out things. But you've got to give people a chance to respond to something. And they will feel like the music is theirs and they are part of it if you give them that opportunity. So I think you can also build that into recorded songs as well. You can have these spaces where someone could go, yeah, all right. They can say that. Or they have a moment to think about it or contemplate it. Or just a moment of rest to go back into the underlying groove, which would be like the basic awareness of the music, which is always underneath it, and you're not always conscious of it, but if it's off, you definitely feel off. I don't know. What do you think? Here I am lecturing about it when I should be giving you the space for a call and response. So there's so much to think about there, and such a great question, and something that we can always be aware of when we're writing songs is, do I have enough space in here? Am I giving my audience a moment to digest, to process, to respond, and also to tie back into that basic awareness if we're thinking about it and dealing with it on a spiritual plane? All right, well, I hope that helps, and please put your comments or questions down below. If you want to message me privately, it's tyler@musemeasure.com, and best of luck with your songwriting and your spiritual path. Hopefully they're becoming one in some ways. All right.